Hello everyone, and welcome to my 23rd Pokemon Challenge. I've been dreading this challenge for a long time, but I really want to know how far we can push Kricketot. Today we seek to answer, can you beat Pokemon Platinum with only a Kricketot? Before we get too far into the video, I'd like you all to know that I'm working really hard to produce a new Pokemon Challenge video every week, so if you like this content, please consider liking and subscribing as it would really mean a lot to me and it would help the channel grow. Anyways, let's quickly cover the rules so we can begin. Rule number 1. No glitches, hacks, or cheats. I do, however, use speed up, otherwise these videos would take far longer to produce and I'd rather produce them quickly. Rule number 2. I can only use one Pokemon in battle. However, because I am not cheating, I do need to use HM Pokemon for travel purposes only. And lastly, rule number 3. No items in battle. This doesn't include held items, as I often use Everstones during some runs, and so other held items are also allowed if necessary. With all of that out of the way, let's begin. Getting our starter in Platinum is a bit annoying since we have to battle Barry every time and then talk with our mother before we can even check the nature. Most of these fights with Barry we end up losing because he spams Leer and then one-shots us even when we're using Bide, but thankfully we can still lose this fight and progression isn't hurt in any way. I should note that it is possible to win this particular fight, and we did so many times, but since the only attacking move we have is Bide, it can be very time-consuming, and to be honest, so long as I get the nature that I want, I don't mind losing this first fight, and I consider the challenge to still be intact. As far as our nature goes, I decided that the Jolly nature would be the best for this particular run. Kricketot has really awful speed and attack stats, but speed is often far more important within a solo run, so I figured that we should prioritize that specific stat. Our next goal is going to be the most tedious part of this challenge, EV training. Yes, you heard me, I'm going to EV train this Kricketot that only knows Bide. We need to knock out 252 Starly for speed EVs and 252 Shinx for attack EVs. It's not so bad after we learn Bug Bite, but as you can see here, when we only have Bide at our disposal, it takes a very long time to get a single knockout. After roughly 28 in-game hours of EV training, we're finally done with our cursed grinding and ready to move into a rematch with Barry. Barry leads with his Starly, who stands no chance against our behemoth Bug. Barry's last Pokemon is his Chimchar, who will not forget the humiliation of being one-shot by our Kricketot after the second encounter. This will haunt us in future battles. I'm glad that Roark is our first gym battle since Rock is really good against Bug. Thankfully, we're still really strong at this stage in the game. Roark leads with his Geodude, whom we immediately obliterate with Bug Bite. Following Geodude is Onix, who tanks our Bug Bite and sets up Stealth Rock. Roark then heals up his Onix, but we hit it again with 2 more Bug Bites and knock Onix out. Roark's last Pokemon is his Kricketot, who we're thankfully able to knock out immediately. Our next major battle is an introductory battle against Team Galactic Commander Mars. Mars is usually pretty difficult, so let's see how this goes. Mars' first Pokemon is her Zubat, who is ironically the real threat in this fight. If Zubat uses Toxic as the opening move, we lose quickly if our Shed Skin doesn't save us. Thankfully, Zubat held off on Toxic for a bit, meaning that we're able to knock out Zubat without losing too much health from Toxic damage. Purugly is sent out next, who hits us with Fake Out and forces us to take more Toxic damage after we flinch. We then strike back with Bug Bite, stealing Purugly's Oran Berry before we're hit with Scratch. Finally, Shed Skin procs and our Toxic is cured, and then we're able to finish off Purugly with another Bug Bite. Alright, I think we all know how this fight is gonna go. Hyper Strong Kricketot versus Gardenia, Grass-type Gym Leader? Yeah. Gardenia leads with her Turtwig, who we one-shot with Bug Bite. Up next is Cherim, whom we also one-shot with Bug Bite. Gardenia's last Pokemon is her Roserade, who tanks our first Bug Bite even though we stole a Citrus Berry, and then tries to hit us with Stun Spore. Roserade has a skill issue and misses, meaning that we're able to finish it off with another Bug Bite on the next turn. With yet another gym leader defeated, we've got another Team Galactic Commander battle in store for us, this time with Commander Jupiter. Jupiter leads with her Zubat, who gave us a bit of trouble. We start off by using Bug Bite while Zubat hits us back with Wing Attack. On the next turn, we get lucky with a crit Bug Bite while Zubat again hits us with Wing Attack. Finally, we can take down the Zubat with 1 more Bug Bite. Jupiter's last Pokemon is her Skuntank, who we steal a Citrus Berry from with Bug Bite before we're hit with Smokescreen. On the next turn, we hit Bug Bite again, but sadly it isn't enough, and we're hit with Night Slash. 1 more follow-up Bug Bite is enough to bring down Skuntank at long last. At this point in the challenge, we had actually battled against Fantina for a considerable amount of time, and yet we still couldn't get past her. I decided that in addition to some grinding, we would double back and get the Insect Plate from Eternal Forest. The Insect Plate helped a ton throughout the run, so I'm glad it was available early, unlike the Sky Plate. Now that we've leveled up a fair bit after some grinding on Mount Coronet Clefairy, we're ready to give Fantina another shot. Fantina leads with her Duskull, who we hit with Bug Bite for a good chunk of damage while Duskull uses Future Sight. We then finish off Duskull with another Bug Bite on the next turn. Fantina's next Pokemon is her Mismagius, who we also hit with Bug Bite, stealing its Citrus Berry. We're then hit with Confuse Ray and Future Sight, though not for much damage. On the next turn, we're thankfully able to finish off the Mismagius. Fantina's last Pokemon is her Haunter, who we're able to hit with Bug Bite despite our confusion. We're then hit with Shadow Claw, but on the next turn we snap out of confusion and land another Bug Bite. We're hit with Shadow Claw again, but this time when we go to finish it off, Fantina heals up Haunter and we've got to bring it back down again. Haunter hits us with a Sucker Punch after our Bug Bite, and then we're finally able to finish off Haunter with one last attack. Despite all of the grinding we needed to do to get past Fantina, the grinding we had to do for Barry was even more. I told you guys earlier that Barry's Chimchar would remember being humiliated after our second fight, and so Barry's Monferno kept us here for a very long time. Barry leads with his Staravia, who lowers our attack with Intimidate. Despite the attack lowering, we're still able to do a bit more than half of Staravia's health with Bug Bite while it uses Double Team. On the next turn, we finish off Staravia with another Bug Bite. Up next is Monferno, who we hit with Bug Bite for minimal damage while Monferno uses Leer. This continues on the next turn, but then after our third Bug Bite, we're hit with a massive Flame Wheel, almost knocking us out. Thankfully, we take down Monferno with one more Bug Bite. Barry's next Pokemon is his Buizel, who hits us with Quick Attack before we're able to knock it out with Bug Bite. Barry's last Pokemon is his Roselia, who is thankfully super easy to knock out. Yet again, we needed to do a bit of grinding to fight Maylene, but it wasn't too bad this time. Maylene leads with her Meditite, who we immediately one-shot with Bug Bite. Maylene's next Pokemon is her Machoke, who tanks our first Bug Bite and then misses Rock Tomb. On the next turn, we land another Bug Bite, and this time Machoke uses Focus Energy, meaning that we can knock it out on the next turn. Maylene's last Pokemon is her Lucario, who takes very minimal damage from our Bug Bite, doing about the same to us in return with Metal Claw. We trade Bug Bite and Metal Claw twice before we opt into using Bide, tanking 2 more Metal Claws alongside an attack boost before we unleash Bide back at Lucario, knocking it out with 8 HP remaining before our level up gives us an extra 2 HP. Barry is back up to the plate yet again for our next battle, and yes, we had to grind again. Are you starting to notice a pattern? Needing to grind between every major encounter? Yeah, it doesn't get better for a while. Barry leads with his Staravia, who lowers our attack with Intimidate. We start off with a Bug Bite for a bit more than half of Staravia's health while it uses Double Team. On the next turn, we're able to knock out Staravia with another Bug Bite. Barry's next Pokemon is his Monferno, who we get lucky against with a crit Bug Bite before we're hit with a Flame Wheel. On the next turn, our Bug Bite still isn't enough, so we're hit with yet another Flame Wheel. Finally, our last Bug Bite crits and we knock out the Monferno. Barry then sends out his Buizel, who hits us with Aqua Jet before we're able to one-shot with Bug Bite. Barry's last Pokemon is his Roselia, who like always doesn't pose very much of a threat. Wake is generally very difficult, however, this time we didn't really have an awful experience. Wake leads with his Gyarados, who lowers our attack with Intimidate. We get super lucky and manage to crit with Bug Bite on the first turn, but it still isn't enough to knock out Gyarados, so we're hit with Waterfall. Wake then heals up Gyarados, so we get in a free Bug Bite, which again crits. Our next Bug Bite does a bit more damage from a high roll, so we're able to knock out Gyarados. Wake's next Pokemon is his Quagsire, who we hit with Bug Bite for more than half of its health, but sadly it hits us back with Rock Tomb, lowering our speed. We then knock out Quagsire on the next turn with another Bug Bite. Wake's last Pokemon is his Floatzel, who outspeeds us with Brine, but we strike back with Bug Bite, stealing Floatzel's Citrus Berry and restoring some of our health. Floatzel again hits us with Brine, but then we retaliate with Bug Bite, bringing an end to Floatzel. Team Galactic does some funky stuff, and after some nonsense, Cynthia instructs us to head to Celestic Town. Upon arriving, we listen to a lot of exposition and then end up battling against Cyrus for the first time. Cyrus leads with his Sneasel, who we one-shot with Bug Bite. Following Sneasel is Golbat, who we set up Bite against. We're hit twice by Air Cutter, one of them being a crit, but thankfully we're able to one-shot the Golbat after tanking all of that damage. Cyrus's last Pokemon is his Murkrow, who we're thankfully able to one-shot with Bug Bite, even stealing its Citrus Berry for extra BM. Our next challenge is against Barry again. However, Berry was extremely difficult, and since I knew that training at Iron Island would be basically pointless, I decided to grind up 14 extra levels here and then use our 10 rare candies to bring us up to level 100. We're at peak performance as of right now, so it's only a matter of time until we hit our limit. After several additional hours of grinding, we're ready to take on Berry. Berry leads with his Staraptor, who lowers our attack with Intimidate. We outspeed with Bug Bite for big damage while Staraptor sets up Double Team, but we're able to finish Staraptor off on the next turn with another Bug Bite. Berry then sends out his Infernape, who we also hit with Bug Bite, but then we're hit with Flame Wheel for surprisingly little damage. We opt to set up Bide on this turn, tanking 2 Flame Wheels and then completely annihilating Infernape with our stored energy. Berry then sends out his Heracross, who we're thankfully able to one-shot due to a lucky crit. Berry's next Pokemon is his Floatzel, who also thankfully falls with ease to our Bug Bite. Berry's last Pokemon is his Roserade, who continues to be a non-issue. It's time for Byron. I've been dreading this fight the entire run. This will be difficult, one of the hardest fights in the game for us, and it took us many attempts. Byron leads with his Magneton, who we hit with Bug Bite for massive damage, but we're hit with Thunderbolt since we didn't knock it out. On the next turn, we finish off Magneton with another Bug Bite. Byron's next Pokemon is his Bastiodon, who we hit with Bug Bite, stealing its Citrus Berry before Bastiodon uses Iron Defense. We then set up Bide and tank a Stone Edge before crushing Bastiodon with ease. Byron's last Pokemon is his Steelix, who we hit with a huge crit Bug Bite while Steelix sets up Sandstorm. On the next turn, we land another Bug Bite, finally getting past Byron at long last. We're in for another exposition dump, but while we're receiving knowledge, Team Galactic blows something else up in the region, so we've gotta go investigate. Upon arriving at the scene, we find Saturn being annoying at the bottom of the lake. Saturn leads with his Golbat, who we hit with Bug Bite before we're hit with Air Cutter. Another Bug Bite, another Air Cutter. Finally, our third Bug Bite is able to take down the Golbat. Up next is Saturn's Bronzor, who is thankfully super easy to deal with, a single Bug Bite knocking it out. Saturn's last Pokemon is his Toxicroak, who we hit with Bug Bite, stealing its Citrus Berry. Toxicroak then hits us with Revenge, but we strike back with another Bug Bite before being hit and poisoned by Poison Jab. Shed Skin cleanses us of poison, and then we're able to finish off Toxicroak with another Bug Bite. We head over to Lake Verity, finding the side characters struggling with Commander Mars. We've got history with Mars, she shouldn't pose much of a threat against us. Mars leads with her Golbat, who we get super lucky with, starting with a crit Bug Bite before tanking an Air Cutter. On the next turn, one more Bug Bite takes down the Golbat. Mars then sends out her Bronzor, who we're able to dispose of quickly. Mars' last Pokemon is her Perugly, who hits us with Fake Out before we're able to retaliate with a Bug Bite one-shot, stealing the Citrus Berry to rub salt in the wound. After a long and arduous trek up to Snow Point City, we're ready for what most would assume to be a difficult battle. That is not the case. Candace leads with her Sneasel, who we one-shot with Bug Bite. Candace then sends out her Piloswine, who we also one-shot with a single Bug Bite. Up next is Frostless, who tanks our first Bug Bite, though losing its Citrus Berry. Frostless then uses Double Team, but we knock it out with one more Bug Bite on the next turn. Candace's last Pokemon is her Abomasnow, who we knock out easily with a single Bug Bite. At this stage in the game, I was very worried about whether or not Kricketot could actually beat the game, so I sold all of my earthly possessions and stocked up on X items. I don't know if we're gonna need them, but it's reassuring to have them just in case. As we move through Team Galactic's headquarters, we stumble into a speech from Cyrus. As you all know, we've had several fans of the channel in the Pokemon world, and today's spokesman for the channel is Cyrus. Cyrus suggests that you all like, comment, and subscribe to boost this channel's relevance on YouTube. Thank you, Cyrus, for your amazing sales pitch, but we've got to get back to the video. Even though Cyrus just advocated for the channel, he's still a villain, so we've got to battle him to prove the might of Kricketot. Cyrus leads with his Sneasel, who we easily one-shot with Bug Bite. Cyrus's next Pokemon is his Crobat, who we set up Bide against, tanking 2 Air Cutters before striking back with a devastating Bide one-shot. Cyrus's last Pokemon is his Honchkrow, who we bring down instantly with Bug Bite, stealing the Citrus Berry too. Normally, Saturn isn't a huge problem here, but for some reason, Saturn was actually way harder than Cyrus was. Saturn leads with his Golbat, who we set up Bide against. We tank 2 Air Cutters, thankfully neither of them being crit, and then demolish Golbat with a crushing Bide. Saturn's next Pokemon is his Bronzor, who we very easily knock out with Bug Bite. Saturn's last Pokemon is his Toxicroak, who we hit with Bug Bite so that we can steal the Citrus Berry. We're then hit with Poison Jab, and thankfully we weren't poisoned. We then set up Bide, tanking a poison jab, but this time we didn't get so lucky and ended up poisoned. On the next turn, Toxicroak hits us with another poison jab, but thankfully Shedskin procced just in time and our Bide finishes off the Toxicroak with just a bit of HP left to spare. Another usually irritating fight, we've got a battle against Mars and Jupiter this time. Mars and Jupiter lead off with double Bronzor, and we decided to work through Jupiter's team first, one-shotting her Bronzor with Bug Bite while the other Bronzor sets up a light screen. Jupiter then sends out her Golbat, who we set up Bite against. Golbat uses Air Cutter and Bronzor uses Extrasensory, but thankfully they're beating up on Munchlax instead. On the next turn, we're hit with Sludge Bomb and Munchlax is confused by Bronzor, though it does get to use Stockpile. Finally, our Bite is ready and we're able to crush the Golbat with a one-shot. Bronzor then hits us with Gyro Ball for pitiful damage. Jupiter's last Pokemon is her Skuntank, who we hit with Bug Bite, stealing a Citrus Berry while doing great damage. Munchlax is then hit with Poison Jab, and we're hit with Gyro Ball again, but on the next turn, we're able to take down the Skuntank. Bronzor then sends up another Light Screen, but Munchlax hits it with Body Slam, and then we're able to finish it off with Bug Bite. Mars' next Pokemon is her Purugly, who we're able to one-shot with Bug Bite, stealing another Citrus Berry for more health. Mars' last Pokemon is her Golbat, who we're also able to hit with Bug Bite, but our damage is minimal. We're then confused by Golbat, but Munchlax hits it with Body Slam, and we're finally able to finish off Golbat with another Bug Bite. Despite our excellent performance against Mars and Jupiter, we're unable to stop Cyrus from summoning Dialga and Palkia. Even the legendary Lake Trio Pokemon show up and, I guess, try to annoy Cyrus into halting his plan? I don't really know what they were actually trying to do. Very fortunately for us, Giratina shows up to save the day and vores Cyrus. We jump into the Distortion World, chasing after Cyrus. We find Cyrus waiting for us at the bottom of the Distortion World, where he challenges us to a battle. Cyrus leads with his Houndoom, who we immediately take out with Bug Bite. Honchkrow is up next, and we get lucky with a crit to knock it out. Crobat is sent out next, and we set up with Bide, but we're hit with Toxic instead. However, Shedskin gets rid of the poison immediately. Crobat then uses Air Slash, and we tank it pretty well, actually. On the next turn, we eradicate Crobat with our Unleashed Bide. Gyarados is sent out next, who lowers our attack with Intimidate. We set up with Bide again, tanking 2 Waterfalls before striking back with a super powerful Bide. Cyrus's last Pokemon is his Weavile, who we're thankfully able to one-shot with Bug Bite, stealing a Citrus Berry in the process. Having beaten Cyrus for the last time, all that's left for us to do in the Distortion World is to catch Mr. Wiggles, our second bestest friend in the run. After catching Mr. Wiggles, we have the confidence we need to challenge Volkner. Volkner leads with Jolteon, who we're able to one-shot with Bug Bite. Up next is Luxray, who we also hit with Bug Bite, but sadly Luxray tanks our attack and strikes us back with Fire Fang. On the next turn, Volkner heals up Luxray, but we're able to finish off Luxray after 2 more Bug Bites. Volkner's next Pokemon is his Electivire, who we almost one-shot with Bug Bite, but we steal a Citrus Berry instead. Sadly, we're then struck by a crit Fire Punch for insane damage, and then Volkner heals up Electivire. We're able to finish off Electivire with 2 more Bug Bites soon enough. Volkner's last Pokemon is his Raichu, who we're thankfully able to one-shot with ease. At this point in the run, I am so sorry to say that the challenge is lost. This final fight against Barry is simply unwinnable without trainer items, which violates one of the rules I stated at the beginning of the challenge. Since I don't like to cut videos short though, we're going to continue on with the video in an effort to see just how far Kricketot can go if we help it out. Getting into the fight itself, Barry leads with his Staraptor, who lowers our attack with Intimidate. During this portion of the fight, our main focus is on buffing up our defense, special defense, and attack, also making sure to keep ourselves healthy with healing items. While we're doing all this buffing, Staraptor hits us with a barrage of Aerial Aces, but eventually Staraptor just gives up and uses U-turn into Infernape. We're not quite done buffing yet, so we heal up and continue on with our X-item usage for a bit longer, maxing out our stats. Finally, we're ready for a fight and set up with Bide, tanking 2 Flamethrowers and then obliterating Infernape with our Unleashed Energy. Barry sends out Staraptor again, who once more lowers our attack with Intimidate, so we heal up, increase our attack stat again, and then go for a Bug Bite to see what'll happen. Surprisingly, we're able to one-shot the Staraptor. Up next is Heracross, who also knows Aerial Ace, but we're somehow able to one-shot even the Heracross with Bug Bite. Barry's next Pokemon is his Snorlax, who we get very lucky against with a crit Bug Bite, also one-shotting here. Barry then sends out his Floatzel, who we knock out with ease. Barry's last Pokemon is his Roserade, who also falls to our Bug Bite. I originally thought that Aaron wouldn't be a huge deal, but his opening Pokemon, Yanmega, is actually very, very difficult. I tried this battle a ton to see if it was possible without X items, but sadly we were forced into using X items here as well. The goal here with Yanmega is to use exactly 3 X attacks and no more, also hoping that Yanmega only lands 1 air slash at max. Thankfully, Yanmega missed the only air slash it used, and we were able to 2-shot with Bug Bite. Up next is Vespiquen, who we almost knock out with Bug Bite, but sadly we don't, and we're hit with a crit power gem for significant damage. Aaron then heals up Vespiquen, but we lower it back down immediately. Vespiquen then dips out, and Heracross is sent out into our devastating Bug Bite, being knocked out immediately. Vespiquen is then sent out again, and this time we're able to finish it off. Aaron's next Pokemon is his Drapion, who we're thankfully able to knock out with a single Bug Bite, also stealing a Citrus Berry to restore some health. Aaron's last Pokemon is his Scizor, who we get extremely lucky against, getting a crit Bug Bite and knocking it out instantly. The second battle we find ourselves in within the Elite Four is against Bertha. Bertha's Ground-type Pokemon aren't a huge threat, but she has 2 very menacing Rock-type Pokemon on her team that can one-shot us with ease. Bertha's first Pokemon is her Whiscash, who sets up a Sandstorm and hits us with Aqua Tail as well as Earth Power several times while we buff our attack and crit ratio. Finally, we're ready to battle, and we knock out the Whiscash with ease. Up next is Gliscor, who despite our hyper buffing with the X items, still somehow manages to resist our Bug Bite and hits us back with Fire Fang. One more crit Bug Bite is enough to take down the Gliscor. Up next is Golem, who we land a crit Bug Bite against, taking care of one of the dreaded Rock types. Bertha then sends out her second Rock-type monster, Rhyperior, but we're also able to one-shot here, even healing ourselves up with a Citrus Berry Theft. Bertha's last Pokemon is her Hippowdon, who doesn't stand a chance against our devastating Bug Bite. Flint is an opponent that I somehow thought we could beat without X items. I was very wrong and spent a good deal of time trying to figure something out, to no avail. Flint leads with his Houndoom, who we use a single X attack against before we're hit with Flamethrower for significant damage. However, we're able to one-shot with a Bug Bite on the next turn. Flareon is sent out next, who hits us with Quick Attack, lowering us all the way down to 2 HP before we try and fail to knock out with Bug Bite. We then heal up and we're hit with another Quick Attack, but no big deal since we finish off Flareon on the next turn. Flint's next Pokemon is his Rapidash, who we make a mistake against, using an X special defense before getting blasted with a Flare Blitz. Fortunately, we survived with 4 HP remaining, so we heal up again. Rapidash again hits us with Flare Blitz, and again we heal up. We're even burned at one point, but Shed Skin is super useful and managed to cure us on the turn it was inflicted. This Flare Blitz nonsense sadly continues until Rapidash knocks itself out. Flint's next Pokemon is his Magmortar, and this is where things get weird. In short, I was terrified of Infernape and figured that the only way we could get past it was to max out our attack, special defense, and defense stats. We spent a long time battling against Magmortar, using a ton of our stocked up items to buff ourselves to a plane of existence beyond Arceus itself. We spent so long in this fight that Magmortar ran out of Flamethrower move power and began resorting to Thunderbolt and Hyper Beam. It was actually insane. Nevertheless, we eventually decide to actually battle, one-shotting Magmortar with a Bug Bite and stealing its Citrus Berry, but we're sadly burned, which lowers our attack. Flint's last Pokemon is his Infernape, the Pokemon I was most afraid of in the Elite Four. We heal ourselves up to get rid of the burn, meaning that Infernape can hit us with Flare Blitz for basically no damage. I was shocked, I gotta say, I didn't think that we were that strong, even with the buffs. Anyways, we one-shot with Bug Bite on the next turn, and that was the end of Flint. Alright, so I know that the X items aren't the most exciting thing in the world, but the good news is that we finally found an Elite Four battle where Kricketot doesn't require them. Lucian leads with his Mr. Mime, who we annihilate with Bug Bite. Up next is Gallade, who we hit with Bug Bite, stealing his Citrus Berry. Gallade then tries to hit us with Stone Edge, which would have one-shot us, but thankfully it missed, and we were able to finish off Gallade on the next turn. Lucian then sends out his Espeon, who cannot even begin to hope of tanking our Bug Bite. Lucian then sends out his Bronzong, but not even this tanky boy can wall our crit Bug Bite. Lucian's last Pokemon is his Alakazam, who outspeeds us with Psychic for more than half of our health before we're able to retaliate with Bug Bite, one-shotting the last of Lucian's Pokemon. We've finally made it to Cynthia at long last. Outside of Flint and Bertha, this last battle against Cynthia has been the one I've been the most afraid of. Cynthia's first Pokemon is her Spiritomb, which is pretty great for us since we can stack our required X items without too much fuss. The problem is that Spiritomb got like 6 crits within this particular battle, as well as getting very frequent special defense drops from Shadow Ball. Nevertheless, we tough it out and stack our attack and special defense X items, finally one-shotting Spiritomb with Bug Bite at the end of this lengthy buffing session. Cynthia's next Pokemon is her Togekiss, who I was very concerned about due to a knowing Air Slash. However, we were able to outspeed, and we get lucky with a crit Bug Bite to knock out the Togekiss. Cynthia then sends out her Lucario, who was another problem Pokemon I was worried about, but we get yet another crit taking out the Lucario. Cynthia then sends out her Garchomp, who actually outspeeds us with Dragon Rush, which would have certainly one-shot us, but since it missed, we were able to one-shot with Bug Bite. Cynthia then sends out her Milotic, and yet again we get a crit, taking out the last of Cynthia's scary Pokemon. Cynthia's last Pokemon is her Roserade, who stands absolutely no chance against the might of our Kricketot. Wow, I cannot believe that we actually beat Pokemon Platinum with only a Kricketot. I know that the challenge technically failed by the definition of the rules I stated at the start of the video, but I am also astounded that Kricketot is capable of beating the entire game by itself at all. I was certain that Flint would have been an actual game ender, not even allowing us to use our X items. Thankfully, we were able to reach the end of the game even if the challenge was lost. I will say that Kricketot actually had some really stuff going on for it. Bide was amazing for getting past some problem Pokemon like Bastiodon, Bug Bite was super useful for stealing berries, and Shed Skin is probably the best ability I've had yet on the channel, so really Kricketot's biggest limiting factor is the lack of moves. The final time for this run was 53 hours and 25 minutes, which naturally puts Kricketot in last place. I was honestly anticipating a longer time if we were even capable of beating the game with only Kricketot, so I'm very happy with this time. Before we end things off here, I wanted to let you all know that I stream this run over on Twitch, which I plan on doing weekly. Also, if you like this video, please feel free to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe as it would help me out a lot. I've got new Pokemon challenges coming out weekly, so if you like this video, there are plenty more to come. If you'd like, feel free to leave a comment to let me know how you felt about the video, since I love seeing what you guys think about my content. If you're interested in hanging out, feel free to follow the link below to either my Twitch, my Discord, or my Twitter if Twitter is still around when you're watching this video. This has been Shro, and thank you for watching.